So one of the things I've noticed with guys who are on a spectrum, like ADHD, kind of like autism, OCD. So one of these guys have this kind of spectrum because I definitely have strong ADHD, OCD, and a bit on the spectrum of autism. What I notice is those guys tend to be quite hyper dependent and not independent. So they really function on seeking other people's approval, other people's validation, and they're constantly always seeing whether they're doing something right or wrong. And I can see this as an evolutionary adaptation because those are the kind of guys that work within a team, they're relied on for getting things done. So they really are functioning within a cog. So they're like a cog. The problem is when you get into relationships, that hyper dependency, which is that usually required at work, then becomes very hyper dependent in the relationship. So when the guy's very dependent, hyper dependent, he then lacks his own decisiveness, his own leadership, is what the feminine is looking for. And the way to work on this, because I was very hyper dependent, and one of the telltale signs of this that you do love bombing and sex bombing. So when you get into a new relationship, you then give up everything about your life, and then you just focus on the relationship. So you're too dependent on the relationship. When the relationship comes in, it just changes your whole entire world. And this is a very off-putting and a very destructive kind of pattern for your own life and also for her, because you become very suffocating and you lose all your sense of self. You haven't really developed a sense of self. So one of the things I was doing was building really building separation, being okay alone, being okay on my own. So I remember I was with a group of people and we were having lunch, or we just got some lunch, and I started eating. There was another guy started eating as well, and one of the ladies suggested, "Oh, let's go by the river and eat by there." And I was really enjoying the sunshine. And the guy opposite me said, "Oh, you know what? I really like it here. I don't really want to move." I'm like, "Okay." I didn't really say anything, and they all just followed her. And I was like, "What does Pfizer want?" Well, actually, I quite like being here. So I took my time. I was enjoying the sunshine. I finished my food. When I was ready, then I joined them. And when I joined them, they didn't make any comments. They weren't thinking about bad about me. Even if they were, I'm like, cool, I'm good with you, I'm good without you. And that was the most important energy. And that weekend, I was really focusing on being hyper independent rather than being hyper dependent. So what I would do is even though I'm going with people and friends I know, I would go and sit by myself. I didn't want to sit with anyone. I didn't want to talk with them. I was just practicing being the opposite of what I normally would do. I'd always look for people like, okay, I need people around me. And who do I want to sit with? So I was doing the opposite. There are people who are hyper avoidant, and they're the kind of people who want to be recluse, they want to be independent. They need to do the opposite. So whatever your common trait is, you need to do the opposite and practice the opposite. So for me, I was practicing hyper independence. And then I was practicing, okay, well, if I don't really want to do this, this doesn't align with me, and I'm not being an ass about it, I'll just do it on my own. And the more I'm practicing this being on my own, and it's not that I want to really be independent all the time. I'm just bringing a balance to it. So I'm calibrating in order to bring a harmonious balance to my life. And that's what you got to do, is you got to make sure that if you have a tendency to be very codependent, get attached quickly, and then you got to be able to, then you lose all your stuff, you got to be able to then manage yourself. And a lot of guys might think, well, I'm single. I've been single for a long time. I'm too independent. That could be true. But if you did find a woman that you're really into, and then you fixated about her, you think about her, you're obsessed about that, again, there's a indication that you could become very hyper dependent on the relationship. If you're the kind of person that I always need a relationship, that could also be an indication of hyperdependency. So don't let being single forever be a mask and fool you thinking that I don't have this, because a lot of guys will become really attached really quickly, And when they become really attached really quickly, they really focus just on being on the relationship. So these are kind of the things to train on. So what you do is just practicing isolation, being by yourself, and bringing a great harmony, bringing a great balance to that. I hope this helps.